Right now, as I'm sitting here thinking about the past, reminiscing in the beauty and tranquility in what was my past, I am painfully reminded of some things, some stories which I swore I would never tell. And I figured now would be a good time to tell them. So there are countless stories from my past, which I've told some people, which I've chosen not to tell other people. And I'm thinking about one in particular, which I think it's time to bring out to society as an embarrassing story for me. And that's the story of my first ever kiss. And yes, contrary to popular belief, I'm quite the charmer. You know, it's hard for people to resist this face card. Anyways, please, ladies, hold yourselves back for now as I tell this story about what was arguably the worst first kiss of all time. I don't say that lightly. So I was at a church camp. This was when I was about 15 years old. I was at a church camp, and it was one of those camps where you go and you spend about 2 weeks. I think it was 2 weeks, could have been a week. Anyways, time flies when you're having fun. I was at a church camp for about 2 weeks, let's say it is. And while I was there, of course, being young and all that, I was exploring a lot of new things. Well, okay, hold on. Let me rephrase that. I was trying new I was figuring out the type of person that I want to be. And what I mean by that is I was, you know, one of the biggest things is, and I could potentially find a photo of it in my photo library here. I used to have, like, for years before I turned 15 years old, I had a hairstyle that I thought was really, really cool. I thought that it was really good for me and I was trying at the moment at the time, I was trying to capitalize on my red curly hair, you know, really trying to make it seem like I had something incredibly special. Because I've always tried to view my hair as a good thing rather than a bad thing. And so I'm looking for a picture of it here. Holy, we had some bad hair days. This is not the picture I was looking for, but since we're on the topic, I figured I might as well bring it up. This is for a whole separate story, which I will probably go into one day. But for a little while, I did rock this haircut. I figured it was good to finally put my hair in a direction, and that direction was literally the wrong direction, as in, it made me look like a lesbian, which I'm not. Oh, here we go. Banger right here. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, get your phone out, get your screenshot ready. This this was prior to 15. I don't know, maybe 13, maybe 14. I don't know. Anyways, this is this is little baby James right here. I figured that this was a really great hairstyle at the time. This is when I worked at Chick-fil-A. The whole thing is me with the Chick-fil-A cow. I was very into the propaganda at the time. Anyways, um one of the things that happened at this college camp is I decided for the first time ever, and I didn't like this at first because I thought of it as like a fratty thing to do, which I didn't want to be a part of. I thought it was, really unique or special. So I decided for the first time to like push my hair forward, and to kind of give it like, just the messy look, kind of the same look that it is today. And not that it's anything special, but there was something about pushing my hair forward that seemed to change the game for me. I always wondered. I mean, I was surprised almost all my life that this guy right here, this guy right here, really didn't pull very much game. It always confused me on how that was the case. I surely had ladies, begging and pulling at their hair, trying to get to me, but I figured I was too young, or that they were too, or we were in a too young of a stage that their parents would let them come at me. So I figured that was always the reason why I didn't see much game as a kid. Anyways, it happened to be when I pushed my hair forward, which was one of the many changes that I made during that time in college, that things just started going out of whack for me. All of a sudden, I was getting DMs from different girls and stuff at the well, okay, before I go on a rant here, I was not getting DMs from a ton of different girls. I got a DM from one girl which I thought was cute, and we were friends. And anyways, long story short, we said that we liked each other. It's just one of those camp relationships that just kind of comes out of nowhere or whatever. So we started spending some time together. Um, and we it was when we spent some time together and we started talking more, and I held her hand. I thought it was so magical. It was really one of my first experiences of like a kind of a more, I don't want to say real, but a more intentional relationship. Like we were very open about the fact that yes, we did like each other. So, I was feeling great about it. This is the first time in a long time, well, really ever actually, that a girl is giving me genuine attention of the romantic kind. So we were holding hands. She she called her parents on FaceTime and introduced me, and we had been together for like a day. Looking back, it just gets worse. But anyways, we had this, great time together, and we were on walks and whatever. And then, and, at these church camps, because we were at a college campus. I don't know if I mentioned that. But at these church camps and stuff, they're always like, keep an eye on these kids, and blah blah blah. So, but we managed to sneak away. Where we went on a walk, and that walk went towards a less populated part of the college campus. Um, and we got into the conversation of kissing and stuff, and I was like, man, I've never kissed before, but I'd probably be pretty good at it. And she's like, well, I've kissed before, but I would probably do it again or whatever. She's like, I'm really good at it. And, and so obviously, teenage horny James is going in his head like, wow, wow, this is great. It seems like this might finally get something that I've been working for ages. And so I was like, well, it was terrible. Oh God. Oh, it's bad. I was like, well, do you want to kiss? I gotta calm myself down here, drain myself of all this cringe that is built up like pus in a sack around my neck. Just, it's hard, especially when I think about what I have to say next to continue the story. Anyways, where she's scared, of course. And the reason she's scared is not because of me, but it's because she's scared that someone's gonna walk in, or a camp counselor's gonna see us, and then we're gonna both get into really trouble. And so, which I thought was, valid or whatever. So I was like, let me take you to this spot. I don't remember how I knew about this spot, but I somehow knew about this spot that was like in a forest or whatever. So weird. So I took her to this spot and she was like nervous looking around or whatever. And I think I said some like super cringy shit like I don't know. I can't even fucking make this up. Like it is blowing my mind that I even got this far. But I did, and we kissed, and it was just like I didn't really know how to kiss, so it was more of just like like our lips just kind of like pressed, and that was about it. Not like making out. There's no tongue. There was no like. It was nothing crazy. It's just like this. We kind of just held it there for like 2 3 seconds. Um, you know, I opened my eyes. I do remember this. I opened my eyes like halfway through. Um, the 2 to 3 seconds just to like kind of make sure that I wasn't gonna like, it wasn't one of those dreams. You ever had those dreams where you like figure something's happening and you wake up and um that's not what's happening exactly, but like someone else is there. What I'm saying is like I opened my eyes just to make sure that I wasn't like, there wasn't some dude there. Anyways, there wasn't, it was her. And I, pulled away from the kiss and I was like, "Oh my god, this is amazing." Which I truly thought it was. And then I asked her something. To this day, I do not know why I asked her this question. It's me and my big mouth, let me tell you. It's horrible. But I asked her something that I cannot believe I had the gall to ask, for one. And for two, I cannot believe that she said yes to. But I said, "This is really important to me. Can we do it again? And can I take a picture?" She Somehow she said yes, and we did it again. And I was like, peeking out of the side because what I did is I had the phone right. God, it's bad. I was, I was kissing her like, mm, and I had the phone like right here, right, just kind of like pointed outward, trying to like, but I wanted to make sure that it was angled correctly. So we're kissing the whole time. I'm like, not really into the kiss. Like she's closing her eyes, but I'm like looking to the side, like make sure the angle's right and all that. I spammed a couple pictures. And the crazy thing is, to this day, I have the pictures. They're in a hidden folder on my phone. No one will ever find them. No one will ever see them. I will never see them. I put them there and I won't delete them because I don't want to ever look at them again. And I know if I delete them, I have to go in there, tap on them, and look at them again. And I will not do that. So they're there permanently, and they have been there ever since. So, and I pray to God that that never gets leaked. Because if those pictures get leaked, oh my God, it's so bad. But yeah, I have pictures of that. So, and that's just, oh man, that is just the beginning to a beautiful story of pain and regret and bad choices. So, yes, that was my first kiss, but after that happened, we walked back. I was elated. I was, happy go lucky. I was so happy, and she was happy too, and it was good. Um, I go back to my dorm because we had dorm rooms at that camp, and one of my friends is there. The first thing I do is I take my phone out, I scroll to the picture, and I show him, and I'm like, "Guess what?" And I don't know what I thought like he would say, but I guess he was trying to be supportive because he's like, "Oh, cool, dude, cool, nice." I don't know, like I have never had anyone show me a picture of them kissing another girl, but I guess he was, I guess he was trying to be nice, and I will always appreciate him for that because it was important to me. It meant something to me. Um, but like a day or two later, it all went south, and it was completely my fault. I texted so bad. So I had had some conversations over text with one of my roommates who also knew her, the girl that I kissed. And in one of the texts, I had said something about her, which I did not really think very much about at the time. And I know this seems like it would be something that's very straightforward, that's very no from the start. This is, step 1 to the tutorial of what not to do in a relationship or with anyone ever. Um and I could give the excuse that hey, I was just learning, that I was figuring things out, but there is no excuse at the end of the day. And there's no other way to do this than to rip off the band-aid. I texted my friend that I thought that she, the girl that I was talking to that I kissed at the time, I said that she was a little chubby. Yeah. I think the words were, and I can't even remember them, and I'm glad I don't remember them exactly, but some along the lines of like, she a little chubby, but that's all right. And, you know, and at the time, I think I said that more in confidence, feeling like, probably no one, especially not her, will be searching through my friends' text messages with me. Why the hell would anyone do that? So, um, pretty much the next day, we were all hanging out, but I promised one of my other friends that I would teach her some guitar songs. So I spent some time with her teaching guitar songs. I came back to us all hanging out after I taught some guitar to that other person. And she looked at me. She was like, and I was like, What's wrong?" And she's like, "Do not talk to me." I was like, "Oh, did I do something wrong?" And she gets her friends, gets in her little friend group as girls do. They get in like this little whale pod or whatever that they have, where they like, they keep one in the middle just like to keep her the safest, I guess, keep her away from predators, all that. It's very strategic, tactical maneuver, in case I was gonna shoot an arrow in their direction, that one of the friends would probably take the hit for her. So very, very strategic maneuver that they had there, in place. But they scurry her off, back to their dorm room, and I'm here just left like, what happened? And my friend is like, so she went through my texts with you. And I looked at him and I was like, are you dead ass? Like, how did this even happen? How did this occur? Like, what would even make her want to, or even be curious enough to go through my text with specifically you, especially because I had other roommates that were also there, and she didn't want to look through their texts. Um, and so she, obviously is crying. She's, really doesn't feel good about it. Blah blah blah. I don't feel good about it. We take a day or whatever. Then tomorrow night, the next night, right? We all go meet outside. She's with her group of friends. I'm with my group of friends. And we're talking about it. And I was like, I am so sorry. I did not mean to say what I said. I didn't mean it in the way that it sounded. Um, you know, just being apologetic. And she was like, I accept your apology, but I can't keep going through this. Like, obviously, body image is a huge thing for girls. And so she was like, I can't keep going through this, and rightfully so. And so she was like, I can't even give you another shot. It's over and whatever. And I was pretty angry about it at the time. Not at her, but at myself. And then I find out something something that made me more angry than I think I've been in a long, long time. I've never lashed out and punched someone, but that moment that I'm about to admit to you was the closest that I've ever gotten to socking someone. I mean, really just slugging someone out, really just laying them out to dry. I mean, I was ready to beat down on this guy. I found out because I was still curious. I was like, man, what? Oh, how did you even? How did it even come to the point where you wanted to look through the text messages with my friend? And so I had this other roommate. His name was Ben. This little itty bitty twink Asian kid who would literally watch porn in our room while we were all there, who also ended up stealing my credit card information, my debit card information, after the camp and used it to buy porn, which was really fun to explain to my parents. Anyways, I found out because he thought it was funny. He just went and ratted himself out. He said right there and then while we're all gathered, "Oh, I told her what you said in the chat. And I thought it would be funny if she saw it." And I looked at him with the most anger and hate in my eyes that I have looked at anyone in my entire life. I have not looked at Satan with the same eyes that I looked at him. And my fist balled up. And I was ready. I was so ready. The muscles tensed up. Everything in me, it was ready. I was about to unleash the fucking One Punch Man layout. Just fucking blow his head off in one clean blow. I was about to, but I controlled myself. Why? Because I just reason got the best of me, and I was starting to think of all these things of maybe I don't want to get kicked out, and I don't want to be in a lot of trouble, and my friends are gonna stop me right away. But he 100% deserved it, and I wish to this day, I wish that I had gone ham on his ass. I really do. If I ever see him again, Ben, if you're watching this video, if you ever cross paths with me again, I will do horrible, horrible things to you. But that's just a joke for federal reasons. Anyways, at the end of the day, I was pretty angry about it, and we went through the rest of camp, and she she gave me a hug at the very end of camp when we were all leaving because our friend groups kind of stayed close and we were just kind of like both there. Um, and I was very apologetic, and so she gave me a hug at the end of camp. And um, another thing that fucking Ben said when she gave me that hug, and fucking Ben was right next to me when it happened, and he was like, he just looks over and he was like, she really did not want to do that or something. Like, that was a really that was a really hard hug for her to give. I was like, fuck you, Ben. Just God, I hate fucking Ben so much. Anyways, yeah. So long story short, that's what happened. We talked a little bit afterward, and but we never really got back together. Nothing really sparked from it. But that was the whole situation. That was my first ever kiss, and it was horrible and terrible. I still have pictures of it to this day that no one will ever see for the rest of eternity. And um and yeah, Ben better pray that he never finds me in real life. So yeah, that was my first kiss. So anyways, that's it. Thanks.